In this video, I will give you an overview of Excel functions and formula. For you to enter a function or a formula, we usually use the formula bar, where we have the possibility to enter any element, any information in a particular cell. You can equally click on the insert function and it will lead you to a window box where you can actually look for the function you want to use, and from here you can scroll down. Each function has a description down here where you can read to understand what the function is all about. A formula is simply the combination of arithmetical signs such as the subtraction sign, addition, multiplication sign. For you to insert any function or to make any calculation in Excel, you start by using the equal to sign or by putting the equal to sign in the cell. The calculations are all made in these cells. With Excel, you can actually do the work of a calculator. Say we want to sum in this table the amount or the quantity of sales for the different days in different towns. We could actually stand at the level of total and we put equals to, and we could do the first quantity here is 1000. We could do 1000 plus 500 plus 2000 and so on, and by pressing the enter key on the keyboard is going to sum all these values. But in Excel we will rarely be doing such a thing. We'll rarely be using figures themselves. We'll be using cell referencing, because the cell referencing will help us in such a way that when we want to change information, it can actually sum automatically. So still here, if I want to sum these, I could say equals to, then instead of me writing 1000, I click on the cell where 1000 is written. So I click on 1000, then I click plus 500 plus and so on. So at the end of the day, when I press enter, it's going to sum all of these values. So the advantage of using cell referencing is that should in case I change, for example, the value of this cell, it's going to automatically change here, whereas with the other method I will have to come and edit it again in the function or in the calculation. So here, if instead of 400 I put 600, you see automatically it has cumulated. On the other hand, we have functions. Functions are predefined formulas that perform calculations by using specific values called arguments in a particular order or structure. Say we want to get the total of all these sales quantities. Instead of us doing it one by one, we could use a function. Imagine this database having more than 10,000 lines. It will be stressful for us to be choosing each cell one after the other. So we could use a function, for example, the sum function. So for us to enter the function, we can say equal to, then we put sum. Immediately as I start typing the function, you see alternatives of the function appear, and when I finish typing the sum, I can have the function shown. So when you see the function will always give a description, and with the use of these descriptions you can easily understand what the function does. For example, the sum function, they say, adds all numbers in a range of cells. So if I want to add all these numbers, I can actually use the sum function. When you finish typing the name of the function, you open bracket. Either you open bracket or you just double click on the function in this list. If you don't want to double click on it, you could equally use the tab key on your keyboard. So from here, you see all functions you would input in Excel after you have inserted, after you have given the bracket open, will give you arguments where you can easily understand. So the arguments here are numbers, number 1, number 2, and so on. So I'm going to select from the very first element to the last element, and you can see when I close bracket and I press enter, it's going to do the same job as we did with cell references. Let's go further by calculating the total amount of sales for the different days in the different cities. I'm going to add here amount. So the amount here will simply be gotten by multiplying the sales times the unit price. So I'm going to put equal to, I do sales by the unit price, and I press enter. So you can see it has multiplied the sales values times the unit price, and it's given this amount. What we have just done is a formula. We have multiplied cell C3 with D3. An alternative to this could be a function where we could say equal to product, and we select the values that we want to multiply. So I'm going to select from this to this, and I press enter, and you see it's still doing the same job, but with functions much more easier, especially when it comes to huge data. Now, in the course of using Excel functions and formulas, there is one very important thing we'll be using. We saw this already in the introductory part of this training. The autofill function, which just does in the next cell what was done in the previous cell. Imagine we have thousands of cells that we have to multiply these by these all through. It will be stressful for us to start back and be doing this by this for the next cell. So we use the autofill to repeat what was done in this cell. We come at this angle when it shows this black cross, and we drag down, and you can see it has just multiplied this value by this value. It has done same here, it has done same here, and everywhere is the same. So it really is our work. This was just very relative. What if we have to multiply a value by a range of cells? For example, we want to multiply all these sales amount by a unique price which is located in another cell. Here we can realize that as we go down, the autofill permitted us to get to the next cell reference exactly the way it was in the first cell of application. Now, let's say we want to multiply 1000 by $2, 500 by $2 to get the value in the next stage. I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to do equal to 1000 times $2. Good, it's given 2000. What if I use the autofill? You see, it's not multiplying, or it's not giving the result we are expecting. If we get into this cell, you realize that as we went 4 steps below, it equally went 4 steps below. See the cell reference which is highlighted. It's true we would like to multiply 1500 by a value, but it is not by this empty value. What happens is that the more we go down, the more the cell reference here goes down. But that's not what we want to do. We want to keep it at this cell reference. We want that as we're going down, it should always be multiplying by these $2 and not going down. That is where come the absolute cell referencing. This absolute cell reference will permit us to stabilize a particular cell in a calculation in such a way that as we are going ahead, it is not moving, like the cell is not moving. So, in order for us to stabilize the cell, we first ask ourselves, is it a row or a column we want to stabilize? We see here that dragging down, it's moving from one row to another. So we want to stabilize the row here. This will push us to stabilize the row and stand here. So to stabilize a cell, we use the $sign. We put the $sign before the direction of the cell. Like in this case, we're talking about a row, and the row name here is 15. We are at the level of row 15. We want to stabilize this row 15. So we are going to put the $sign before 15. If we were making our calculation this way, we'll be moving in terms of columns, and for us, we would have been making the column to be stable. In this case, instead of putting the $sign in front of 15, we'll put it in front of B, because B in this case represents the column. So for me to easily put the $sign, I use the key on my keyboard, F4. So when I press F4 for the first time, it will put the $sign on both sides. I click on $sign again, and it brings it on one side, which is before the row. So henceforth, when I drag this down, you realize that the calculation is being done with no problem. If we come here, you see we're multiplying C6 still by B15. Same thing till the last level. This cell has not changed. There is still much you need to know about Excel functions and formula, but for now, you are good to go. See you in the next video, and we'll take our very first function to manipulate. Thank you for watching.